All right, welcome everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. First, we want to say welcome and hello to all our newly admitted Tritons for fall 2022. I can't believe it's already fall. On behalf of the International Students and Programs Office, also known as ISPO, good morning. And it might be afternoon where you are or evening, wherever you might be. Hello, my name is Kathleen McLaren Hawking, and I'm an intake advisor here at ISPO. So before we begin, we just have a few housekeeping items. We want to let you know that you're on listen mode. You can hear us, but we can't hear you. So no shouting at the video. We are recording, and the webinar will be posted later at iwebinars.ucsd.edu. We want to encourage you, if you'd like, to use the Q&A box to get your questions answered. Even if we're not able to answer them today through the chat or during our Q&A at the end of our session, there are a variety of ways to connect with ISPO to get those questions answered. So you can visit icontact.ucsd.edu to connect with us after today's session. All right, with us today, we are happy to welcome you to our session. And we have various campus partners here with us today. We've got Marie Shear from Academic Achievement Hub. She's waving to you there. Josh Navarro from the Writing Hub, and Klaus Vanderway from Academic Integrity Office. So we are so happy to have them here to present to you. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, I'm actually going to go ahead and kick us off before I hand it over to our lovely campus partners. Hello, my name is Grace Fuller. I serve as the manager of International Student Experience and Engagement here at ISPO, the International Students and Programs Office. And I'm going to talk a little bit about U.S. classroom culture, specifically at UC San Diego. We can go. Yep, perfect. Okay, so I'll start with some classroom lingo. Much of this terminology you might be really familiar with. However, I have heard from some students that maybe you're familiar with the term, but the role in your home country might be different than what that person plays in in the US or at UC San Diego specifically. And some of the terms might be a little bit newer for you. So I'll go ahead and go through some common terms that you might hear during your time at UC San Diego. And I would encourage you, if you have any other follow-up questions or additional questions, go ahead and submit those in the Q&A feature, and we'll do our best to answer those. So your professor versus your TA. So your professor is typically an experienced faculty member who frequently does research. These will most often be the folks who are leading the lectures. And it can be helpful that if you're interested in maybe the type of research they're doing, and that's the field that you would like to go into, maybe you meet with them over office hours to learn more about what they're doing and how you might be involved. Maybe you want to be a research assistant in a lab, for example. A TA will often stand for teaching assistant, and this might be a person who works really closely with the professor, but might lead your discussion sessions. A TA is typically a graduate student. They're the ones who often might grade different parts of your coursework, and TAs are often pretty accessible, and so you can have access and different interactions with them. And sometimes there are multiple TAs for one class. I've also had students ask, what is the proper way to address a professor or to address a TA? Typically, folks will start with a little bit more of a formal greeting. So let's say professor and then the person's last name. And if someone invites you to call them by their first name, you're more than welcome to do so. And in general, TAs are usually referred to by their first name. So office hours are where you can get to know your professor, your TA a little bit more. It's also what you might attend to if you need help understanding a certain concept. I know that office hours can also be a very American practice. And so this idea that you would go and you would introduce yourself to your professor may not be super common potentially in your home country, but it is something that we really like to encourage students to do here at UC San Diego. It's a great way to start to build that relationship. Your syllabus is kind of this description of what you can expect from that class. It will typically have a grade breakdown, a schedule of what's due, when, during the quarter, when the tests and assignments are, as well as contact information. My tip is to thoroughly read the syllabus before you ask any questions for your professor and TA, because if the information is covered in the syllabus, they will probably point you back to the syllabus. Lecture versus discussion. A lecture might be a very large class, sometimes hundreds of students at a time, depending on the lecture. It can be a great place to meet other students, but sometimes it can feel a little bit more overwhelming. And a discussion is typically a smaller base classroom. So that is typically led by your TA. And it's where you can have a little bit more of that conversation, a little bit more of that interaction. So definitely, I would say, be involved, speak up, be engaged during your discussion classes. And then a clicker is something that you might use for your different classes. Typically in a big lecture hall, let's say the professor wants to gauge your understanding of a certain topic, they might ask you to, they might have a question on the screen and vote for your answer, and you would vote for your answer using your clicker. So oftentimes if a clicker is going to be required for a certain class, it will say that on the syllabus, and you can get a clicker at the bookstore or other areas as well. Wonderful. So a little bit more lingo. And again, if there's anything that maybe you've heard that you'd like to add to this list, feel free to go ahead and submit that. Curving is essentially when your grade is determined relative to peers. And so if it's a particularly challenging course, they might adjust grades using a bell curve. And so making sure that there's a majority kind of in the middle, and then still having some high and low scores on either side. So let's say if you bomb a test, or if you don't do well, rather, then you might, thanks to the curve, actually end up getting a higher score. Canvas, you are probably already familiar with because many of our orientations are on Canvas. So you completed iTriton, that was using Canvas. You probably completed your college orientation on Canvas, and you'll find that many of your classes are also going to be on Canvas. So it's great that you already have some familiarity with Canvas, as you'll be using this a lot during your time here at UC San Diego. And the difference between Canvas and Triton Link is that Triton Link is going to be a little bit more where you can check your financial aid status. And it's the main portal to most school resources. Canvas is going to be like purely academic, and then Triton Link is going to have other resources available to you. I won't go into too much detail yet because I have a slide about different advisors, but at UC San Diego, we are a large decentralized campus. That means in a great way, there's so many people here to help you. In a challenging way, it might be confusing. Who do you go to for what? So again, I'll talk about this more in detail, but you do have different advisors here during your time at UC San Diego. So you're gonna have your college academic advisor. So for example, maybe in Warren or Revelle or Mir. You're also going to have your department or major advisor, and then you're also going to have your international advisor. And typically, whenever you make a change to your academic course schedule, you kind of want to run it by those three folks just to make sure you're clear on all fronts. But again, I'll go into maybe more detail later. First pass, second pass is essentially referring to how students will sign up for classes. So typically when you're registering for classes, you will participate in your first pass, and that allows you to choose your classes, but it doesn't allow you to choose all your classes, all your units. So typically students will prioritize what are the most important classes that I want to make sure I can get done this quarter, and they will register for those in their first pass. And then classes that have a little bit more flexibility, you could do it this quarter or you could do it next quarter. There's more flexibility. You might save that to register for in your second pass. The VAC, if you haven't heard this term, you definitely will. It stands for our Virtual Advising Center. That's where you can get in touch and in contact with a lot of the advisors. So you're like your college academic advisor. And that's a great way. Oftentimes it's like a much more immediate way to ask questions and get those questions answered. Many of our academic resources have different tutors in their offices. A quick note that tutors are in place to help you grow academically. They're not always there to quote unquote fix your paper, but they do want to help you grow as a writer or as learning a certain concept. And then your peer coach are different students who might be similar to who have had similar life experiences that can help you navigate some of the academic culture here at UC San Diego. Okay. I won't spend too much time on this slide. Essentially, if you're curious about intercultural communication, we actually had an intercultural communication workshop that's now available on iWebinars. But all this to say, there are different cultural dimensions, and you might find some of these cultural dimensions playing out here during your time at UC San Diego. The one I'll talk a little bit about is power distance index, and specifically how you might find that playing out in a US college classroom. So depending on maybe your background or your home country context, you might be more familiar with a teacher-centered learning model or a student-centered learning model. Typically in a teacher-centered learning model, the teacher is seen to have a lot of that knowledge and experience, and you can kind of see there's almost this funnel approach where the teacher is responsible for disseminating that information to the students. And a successful student is one that can take in that information, memorize it, and then potentially like regurgitate it on a test, right? However, in a student-centered learning model, you might see a lot more back and forth. So there might be a lot more engagement or expectation for engagement. So you might see a lot more like, this might be a lot more in your discussion or sections. And even the concept I know of participation and participation points can be a very American concept for many of our international students. And so the fact that you would get graded on how much you participate might be a new experience for you. So oftentimes students might experience more of a teacher-centered learning in a lecture class and more of a student-centered learning model in a discussion or a section class. And it's also, I just like want to acknowledge that a lot of the classes here at UC San Diego can be deeply rooted in US history and culture. And so I would encourage you to ask questions, especially when potentially you don't understand something. Odds are there are other students who don't understand, and there might be references really that are relative to American culture, but may not. It might be an invitation for your professor to give a little bit more context on what that means for students who didn't grow up in the United States. Okay, so a little bit of question and answer. So I'm going to ask you to use the raise hand feature. So I want you to raise your hand if you think this is true. It is important to always give the correct answer when participating in class and never contradict the professor or another student. Go ahead and raise your hand if you think that's true. All right, we can click to the next animation. So false. So while in general, obviously you're going to want to give the correct answer, right? There is a certain amount of willingness that if you see things differently, you're encouraged to share your opinion and share your thoughts. Now you might be asked why you think that. But I will say that that's probably more reflective of a low power distance index. It's more reflective of a student-centered learning model where there can be a difference of opinion. Oftentimes also, if you share a different answer, that might be a learning opportunity for you and for the students around you. And so there's this different style of engagement that can be really valued in a US college classroom that might be different than other classrooms you've been involved in. Okay, raise your hand if you think this is true. It is appropriate to use your cell phone during class as long as you're not being disruptive. Okay, let's go ahead and click to the next animation. False. So this is a good note. I know that cell phones are like the way we live, right? I will say though, that if you're seen to be on your cell phone during class, it's typically seen as disrespectful. So I would highly encourage you, let's say like some students are like, oh, I was honestly just like looking up notes, or I was looking up something about what the professor's talking about. Typically, it's seen as a lot more respectful or appropriate for you to maybe look that up on your laptop. But to be on your phone can kind of unintentionally communicate a sign of disrespect to whoever is talking. So again, these are things that are implicit, that they're not often like verbalized, but we want you to know that UC San Diego, this is how it could be interpreted. Okay, raise your hand if you think this is true. Deadlines outside the classroom are less strict than classroom deadlines. So for example, signing up for housing, applying for leadership positions on campus, etc. So deadlines outside the classroom are less strict or more lenient than classroom deadlines. Raise your hand if you think that's true. Okay, we can click to the next animation. You all are learning. So falls. So while we definitely want you to submit all your coursework on time, submit those papers, those tests, those all of it. Know that if you would like to sign up for housing to live on campus, those deadlines are very strict. And if you miss the deadline, you may not be eligible to live on campus. Same for applying for a leadership position. If you miss that deadline, if you miss that like job application or internship, it will close and it's pretty unflexible. So in general, try to submit all your materials on time, if not early, to set yourself up for success. Okay, a little bit about communication expectations at UC San Diego. So typically you'll find that your professors will communicate with you potentially via Canvas or via email. My biggest thing is please make sure to check your UC San Diego email. This is the official way all university staff and faculty will interact with you. So if you're not in the habit of checking your UCSD email, now is the time. Also, please go ahead and read that full email. I know that's like maybe funny to hear because you're like, obviously, but you would be surprised. And oftentimes if a question is answered in a previous email and unintentionally, we've all done it, you ask that question, you might be referred back to go read the full email. So that's just a word to the wise. But yes, in general, when you're sending emails like to a staff member or a faculty, please go ahead and use those greetings, full sentences, right? Adding details where helpful. So if you're in a class saying like what class it is, what section you are, potentially including your PID as you feel comfortable, that is all going to be really helpful information because while you might definitely know your professor and it's like, oh yeah, they're typically dealing with like hundreds of students, right? Same with a lot of our offices. And so it's really helpful to provide more information than less. It can be really helpful. Okay, another true or false. Raise your hand if you think this is true. You need to speak to your international student advisor before considering dropping below 12 units. Your college academic advisor is not the only person you should talk to when doing this. Raise your hand if you think this is true. Awesome. We can click to the next animation. Good job, folks. Yes. So this is, we can go to the next slide because when making academic decisions, you have so many people here to support you and so many people to check in with. So when you are making a decision like dropping below a full course load, aka 12 units, there are a few folks that you will probably need to run this by, right? So your college academic advisor, your international advisor or an ISPO advisor, and your major department advisor, especially depending on where you are in your four-year plan potentially. Sometimes I know it can be overwhelming that you have so many advisors and you're like, who do I go to for what? But generally, we here at UC San Diego are here to support you. So you can start in one place. And even let's say you start at ISPO, if we can't answer that question, we will connect you with who can, right? That is our goal. That is our mission. So each advisor might play a slightly different role, but we will definitely connect you with the folks who you need to be in contact with to get the information you need. Okay, I won't go too much into this because I know we have some great presentations, but there's a lot of resources here on campus to support you in your academic journey at UC San Diego. I'll let the Teaching and Learning Commons speak for themselves. Another office that a lot of students find helpful is OASIS, Office for Academic Support and Instructional Services. That will house the language and writing program, the math and science tutorial program. So those are some really common academic resources that you might hear. Other resources I want to highlight, your professor or your TA, attend office hours, ask questions. Typically at UC San Diego, that's seen as a sign of engagement. So it's seen as a really positive thing for you to attend those office hours and ask those questions, and even just to introduce yourself to create that relationship. especially if you need letters further on in your academic career and you're hoping to get it from an academic source like a professor. Attending office hours and building that relationship is a great way to do so. I also want to highlight counseling and psychological services, often known as CAPS. It is so expected that this is a big life change for so many students, much less moving to a new country to do it, right? So if you are experiencing culture shock or feelings of isolation or feeling overwhelmed by American slang and American culture, that is normal. That is so normal. And there are folks here to support you as you just process that, right? So don't be afraid to take advantage of these resources. CAPS is a great resource. And then ISPO, we like to think of our office as at least a hub of, again, like even if we like to think that we can answer a lot of questions, but if we can't answer a specific question, we really want to connect you with folks who can. So please come visit us for the visa and immigration regulations and the reduced course loads, but also for programming and events and so much fun stuff as well. Oh, and I just want to highlight iresource.ucsd.edu is just this collection of a lot of really amazing resources. So if you go to iResource, you're going to see some academic and English language support that a lot of our students find helpful. But you scroll down and there's different themes or sections for, health and wellness, just a lot of different information is kind of congregated in this one place. So I'd definitely recommend you check it out. Are some of our language resources. So if you would like to practice your English, I know many of our students that's like of interest to them. English in Action is a great resource to go ahead and do so, as well as language conversation tables is a way for you to learn other languages. And then your international peer coach is a undergraduate international student who's a little bit further along in their undergraduate career, but they are coaches in place who would like to help you navigate this new endeavor that is college. So if you have a desire to get connected to campus, interested in having a mentor who's gone through similar experience, and just some support for adjusting to American culture, we really encourage you to sign up for the International Peer Coaching Program. Here are your international peer coaches for the 22-23 academic year. There is one peer coach for each college, and they, again, are international undergraduate students themselves. So eager to connect with you, to support you. And so I'd highly recommend, just connecting with your peer coach. So there's one-on-one peer mentoring sessions and weekly newsletters about different events that can range from social events to professional development, as well as just fun mixers. And if you have something that you really want to do or experience during your time, you can suggest it to your peer coach and they might plan that for you. Okay, so to learn more, I encourage you to head to ipeercoaching.ucsd.edu, and that's how you can enroll in the International Peer Coaching Program. Again, I'd highly recommend it. It's a great resource for our students, and you can also follow them on their Instagram, ipcp.ucsd.edu. Okay, this is my last slide. Basically, I know the students are like, books are so expensive, why? Fair. So here are different ways and resources. This is not endorsed by the International Students and Programs Office, but it is a list that our students have said where they go to purchase different textbooks for their different classes. So feel free to take a screenshot, do what you need to do. But there's a lot of different ways to purchase textbooks and hopefully save a little bit of money, maybe renting versus buying, and different options available to you. And with that, I will pass it over to my colleagues at the Teaching and Learning Commons.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Grace. Hi, everyone. My name is Marie Shear, pronoun she, her, hers, and I'm one of the coordinators at the Teaching and Learning Commons at UC San Diego. At the Teaching and Learning Commons, our primary aim is to help students be successful in their academics. And there's many different ways that we do this. And we go to the next slide, you can see all of our different hubs, kind of our focus when it comes to right there on that graphic there on the left-hand side. So there's many different ways that we know that we can support students, whether it be through helping faculty or students directly themselves. So a few of those student-facing programs is what we'll be addressing today. If we want to go to the next slide. We are located on the garden level of Geisel Library. That's also known as the basement. So if you take the stairs all the way down, you'll get to us in no time. Our website is also a really robust source of information for all and any questions that you might have related to our services. That address is listed right there, commons.ucsd.edu. We'll go ahead and go to the next slide here. These are the staff members that comprise the Academic Achievement Hub. In this hub specifically, our team's main goal is to help you be successful in your academics. And like the Commons, we know that there's many different ways to do that. And so we have a few unique programs to help support you in your unique student needs. Next slide. In the academic year 2021 through 2022, which was last year, we employed over 300 students and have had over 110,000 visits, and we want more. If you would love, or we would love to see each and every one of you at Geisel getting the academic support that you need throughout your time at UC San Diego. In the Academic Achievement Hub, we employ a peer-to-peer model of academic support. And really all of that means is that the tutors and staff that you'll be working with at our center are students just like you. We believe that learning from your peers is a really valuable tool to help you in your academic journey. We have 3 programs, which will be discussed in detail in a moment, but all have a goal of helping meet your unique student needs. And lastly, we offer hybrid services with both in-person and virtual options going into this upcoming fall. Our first program that I want to highlight for you all, supplemental instruction, it's also known as SI, is all about community, participation, and engagement. Sessions are highly collaborative and led by an SI leader who has taken the class previously and done well in it. And sessions model what you're learning in lecture and are hosted weekly. So as was stated previously with that student-centered model versus the teacher-centered model, SI is really going to follow the student-centered model. So it's going to be highly collaborative, highly participative, with hopefully students helping one another. So lots of talking, lots of engagement. And so all the courses that we support through SI are listed on the slide, but they're also listed on our website if you want to refer to it later. The next program that we wanted to highlight with you all, if you're looking for academic support in a more personalized way, so SI is highly collaborative, engaging. Usually there's more than one person, there's quite a few people there. Content tutoring will be a great place for you if you're looking for more personalized support. Tutors support students and answer any questions that they may have about the courses, again, that are listed on this slide, whether that is through drop-in hours or appointments. You can have our services through in-person or virtual formats. Again, that tutor is going to help meet you exactly where you are in your academics and answer any questions that you may have about the courses that are listed on this slide. So information on hours of operation and appointments, again, can be found on our website in greater detail. The last program that I wanted to highlight is the Learning Strategist program. We understand that many students get to college and don't meet their academic goals, and it has nothing to do with their ability to understand course material. For many students, college is their first test in time management, note-taking, study skills, etc. And this is where Learning Strategists can support through one-on-one appointments and workshops. They can help students create a plan and develop skills that will aid them in their studying. And so again, all of this information regarding hours and scheduling can be found on our website, but Learning Strategist is going to be a really, really great way to develop the skills to be successful in your coursework, definitely catered towards the sort of American classroom that UC San Diego fits into a lot of the time. And so I'll go ahead and go to the next slide just to sort of summarize the Academic Achievement Hub. These are a few student quotes from UC San Diego students highlighting the value in our services. And we encourage you all to attend often and regularly as you prepare for your exams, learn more course material, and continue to build community within sort of this community of learners at UC San Diego. If you attend consistently, regularly, rather than just before an exam, you're going to get a lot more out of our services and in sort of reaping all of the benefits that they have to offer. And so with all that being said, I will go ahead and pass it off to the Writing Hub, another one of our hubs here within the Teaching and Learning Commons.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marie, and thanks for that intensive overview of the Academic Achievement Hub. So, good morning, everyone, or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. I am Josh Navarro, and today I will be presenting and giving a general overview of one of the other student-facing services at the Teaching and Learning Commons, which is the Writing Hub. So, over here on this slide, you can see our 3 core staff members who will be over there helping with writing support primarily through one-on-one consultations. And over at the next slide, if we can go take a look at that. So the Writing Hub is one of the Teaching and Learning Commons departments that is student-facing, very similar to the Academic Achievement Hub, where we focus on writing support. And this primarily happens through the one-on-one tutoring sessions that we have with our writing consultants. One of our key goals is ensuring that the Writing Hub is a place where, first and foremost, you feel comfortable in your confidence and in your voice when it comes to writing. Thinking about the last academic year, the Writing Hub has employed more than 40 undergraduate writing consultants, and we have had over 5,000 one-on-one writing consultations. And this is in conjunction with special events that our consultants also hold, such as workshops or outreach programs and events that our consultants have assisted in the past and will continue to assist in the next academic year. Another thing that I wanted to highlight about those undergraduate consultants are that they come from a wide range of majors and careers and background in writing. So all of our colleges from UCSD are represented. And this diverse staff is really important for us to maintain because of the many different perspectives that you can go through with many different genres of writings. So many of our consultants have backgrounds that aren't strictly writing focused with majors that come from STEM or social science. As a result, the Writing Hub is always looking for new undergraduate consultants at the beginning of every academic year. So if you are interested in writing in any way, please consider applying to be a writing consultant. You don't need direct experience with writing tutoring, just a drive and a passion for writing. And just another thing that I wanted to highlight, that many of our tutors in this current cohort at the Writing Hub are international students themselves. So we have many international students who are very interested in becoming a writing consultant themselves. So what exactly does the Writing Hub offer? So for this presentation, I wanted to highlight what I just mentioned before, which are those one-on-one writing support sessions that you can have with your consultants. Here, you can come in for assistance for any genre of writing. This could be a writing assignment from a college writing program, such as MMW, or something from Revell, from Muir College. So any one of those writing assignments that come from one of those college writing programs. Or you can come in for a writing project that's from a non-writing course, such as an elective, or maybe it's a lab report for a science class. Or you can even always come in for a non-course writing assignment that's a presentation, or a personal statement, or a graduate school application, a cover letter, so much more. You can have these appointments either in person in our site on Geisel Library or remotely through our online platform at ucsd.mywconline.com. You can make those appointments over there on our websites, and you can also come in person to schedule one of those consultations. So what are some goals and expectations that our writing consultants can set with you? First and foremost, your writing consultant within your session that you have with them will help you engage in a collaborative discussion about your work, where they play the role as a curious reader who genuinely wants to see you succeed in your writing. They will help you find ways to inform your knowledge in the material that you're writing about, and they will let you ensure that you have ownership and agency over your writing ideas. The conversations that you have with your consultant will also help you delve deeper into the writing process, where you can bridge gaps between your personal thinking about your writing and the audience that you're writing for. Your writing consultant will also cover writing and revision strategies to strengthen your thoughts and your ideas surrounding your writing assignments in a way where you can apply these strategies, these revision strategies, to future assignments and projects. And this is to help inform to you that you can improve your understanding of so many different genres of writing that you will encounter as a student at UCSD. I mentioned in the other slides that you may come in for a writing assignment from a college writing program or a personal statement. All these different genres of writing can be overwhelming at times for students. So being able to break down those different genres and styles of writing with your writing consultant and having them encourage to you that you are capable of understanding all these different genres of writing is something that our consultants strive to do within those sessions. Finally, and I think most importantly, your writing consultant will help build your confidence in writing by validating your approach to how you communicate and how you look at language. At the Writing Hub, we acknowledge, as I mentioned before, that writing is a difficult, sometimes even uncomfortable process for many students. And our consultants strive to make their sessions as collaborative, as inclusive, and as student empowering as possible. So here are some general testimonies that we've had from past Writing Hub students. I won't go into each and every one of them, but I just wanted to have this on the slide just to show you just how helpful other students have found the Writing Hub in terms of helping them build confidence in their writing ability and in their writing knowledge. So I hope that this general overview of the Writing Hub gives you a sense of how supportive our undergraduate consultants are with our students in making writing more approachable and demonstrating that everyone, no matter how you feel personally about your writing, your own ability of writing, is capable of succeeding as a writer. Whether it's in your classes or through more personal writing, the Writing Hub is a great resource for support in making you feel more comfortable and confident about that writing. So with all that being said, along with the Academic Achievement Hub, we are located on the first floor of the West Wing of Geisel Library, and I really hope to see you join us there for the fall. And with all that being said, I'll go ahead and hand it over to the Academic Integrity Office.
Thanks, Josh. Well, welcome to UC San Diego. I'm pleased to join my colleagues in welcoming you into this community of serious scholarship. And with that comes great responsibility to uphold a tradition of preserving integrity, to keep your intended degree and the degrees of those who came before you and those who follow you both valuable and respected. Those are qualities which we imagine drew you here in the first place. Next slide, please. Some common terms that we use to describe cheating include academic integrity violation, academic misconduct, and academic dishonesty. Next slide, please. Now, these actions can result in adverse effects to your GPA or enrollment, failing an assignment or a course, probation, suspension, or dismissal, and it limits, what you learn. But my purpose here today is more than to simply remind you that cheating is bad. In fact, we believe that integrity is about how we treat others and how we wish to be treated. Next slide, please. In this fast-paced society that we live in, it is ingrained in us to make decisions quickly. And that kind of pressure doesn't always lend itself to making sound decisions, right? It's difficult to always remember that our actions have consequences, not only for ourselves, but for others, sometimes farther beyond who we may imagine. A choice that you make for yourself may also have implications for your classmates, colleagues, instructors, supervisors, the university, and perhaps even society at large. So our approach to academic integrity here at UC San Diego is really rooted in straightforward values that are inspired by the International Center for Academic Integrity. Next slide, please. We define integrity as the courage to be honest, respectful, responsible, fair, and trustworthy, even when it's difficult to do so. Integrity means honestly submitting work for academic credit only if it is a true and accurate reflection of your own knowledge and abilities and not that of others. Integrity means responsibly taking steps to ensure that you act according to the standards and expectations of our academic community, even if they're different from the standards and expectations that you've been used to in the past. Integrity means openly and respectfully acknowledging when you've used the words, ideas, or work of another person. And it means fairly earning your grades according to the standards and expectations laid out by this university and its professors, rather than following your own ideas of what is okay to do. Integrity means doing all of that, even when no one is watching or forcing you to do so. And it also means being courageous, to accept a low grade rather than undermine any of these values, or to say no to someone who asks you to violate any of these values, and to interrupt or report actions by others which do not uphold these values. Next slide, please. So here are some common examples of integrity violations. For instance, completing an academic assignment with others without permission. Using sources without citations, copying another student's assignment either in part or in total and submitting it as your own work. Copying your online quiz or assignment answers from the internet or from anyone, really. Paying or asking anyone to create either in part or completely an assignment for you. And perhaps even translating any part of an assignment. Again, you'll want to speak with your instructor about what methods are acceptable for that. And finally, asking for the solution to an assignment or an exam problem from a source that is not authorized by your instructor. And then there are examples of integrity violations that may not appear as obvious. Next slide, please. Perhaps you go onto a website like Chegg and they happen to be offering a promotion. In exchange for submitting some of your code as example material, they'll waive the subscription fee. It's cheating when you upload the code, even if you're just curious to see what resources, that helpful website has to offer. I think we can advance yes. Doing so has consequences to you and also to others. It compromises the respect to the professor and the curriculum. So let's look at another example on the next slide. Thanks. It's possible that you're up late at night and you've only written one paragraph for a paper in your college writing program. It's now 3 a.m. and an ad pops up offering to write you a plagiarism-free paper for just a small fee. Let's take a look at the animation. Yes, it is cheating when someone else writes the paper, regardless of if it's paid for a favor or for a fee. It's not your own honest work, and it undermines fairness to classmates who have done the work themselves. And it's also an example of contract cheating. Next slide, please. Contract cheating is a serious offense that involves someone else creating an assignment for you, either in part or completely. Whether you pay someone to help you or they do it for free or as a favor, having someone else work on an assignment for you is dishonest. So we ask you to be aware of toxic tutors, people who call themselves tutors, but who are actually doing the academic work for you instead of helping you learn how to do the work yourself. These are most commonly Chegg tutors, online strangers on help sites, assignment or essay writing sites, in other words, non-UCSD tutors. Warning signs that someone might be a toxic tutor include, next slide, please. Someone who messages you through social media, offering to help you with your homework assignments or take care of your paper. Other warning signs may include how the tutor talks about their services, if it makes you feel nervous or, uses specific assignments and exams from the class, or that the tutor does all the work for you. That's not teaching you the underlying concepts, right? Or letting you practice them. And of course, again, asking you for payment for the tutoring, right? So with all that said, I really do want to take a moment to emphasize that we all recognize that each of us are but only human. And we're all vulnerable to making poor decisions under pressure. And a toxic tutor can take advantage of our vulnerabilities, which come in a variety of ways. Next slide, please. Yes. Nope, sorry, one back. My apologies. For instance, that pressure to succeed that we can all feel. Right? Pressures from deadlines and conflicting priorities, social pressures, even struggling with the academics or language. We also have to take care by being aware of our own personal stresses and our own perceptions about a class or an instructor. And, the interruptions to our work or our focus as a result of life or world events, right? So what can you do? Well, we're all here to help, right? Especially our office, the Academic Integrity Office, next slide, please, is here because we believe that even if you misstep, there's an opportunity to learn, right? We have 9 career staff members. We have dozens of student staff supporting our various programs, and review board members made up of students and faculty and staff, as well as advisors, who are all here to support your success. We are in the midst of beginning to open up in-person operations in Pepper Canyon Hall, but in the meantime, we strongly encourage you, anytime you have a question, curiosity, or a doubt about whether something is integrous, to stop by our front desk, right? And we're providing that Zoom link there for you. You can also check out our website at integrity.ucsd.edu. And next slide, please. Please know that we're always happy to provide consultation and motivation to help you know the rules and the standards, or help encourage you to find that courage to ask, right? To get familiar with the policy on the integrity of scholarship and the integrity of research policy. Really, pour through your syllabi and your assignment prompts and be sure to ask questions of key people, instructors, TAs, whomever, to make sure that you understand what the expectations are for integrous work of an assignment or any portion of your class, and understand why it matters, right? We also are here to help you reduce the temptation, and distractions that you incur. In other words, managing your time, and having a method for recognizing and making ethical decisions. And always, we are here to encourage you to seek help and use legitimate university resources, such as the ones that were presented to you here this morning. So with that in mind, thank you very much. We wish you all the very best and welcome you aboard as fellow Tritons.
All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of time to talk about how you can get involved here at UC San Diego. I can go to the next slide. Now, you might be thinking, how does getting involved relate to my academic journey here? And I'd like to just highlight that students who get involved during their time here also perform better academically at UC San Diego. It's an opportunity for you to work on a lot of different skill sets, your communication skills, ability to work with others and in a team setting, as well as your leadership skills. And we hope it's a lot of fun. So we hope that it helps you build your community and your sense of belonging here. So one opportunity that I want to highlight is our International Student Advisory Council. You can learn more at isac.ucsd.edu. So this is an opportunity where we meet monthly. ISAC meets monthly through the academic year to talk about different issues or concerns that pertain to the international student experience here at UC San Diego. They're invested international students. They're often student leaders from councils, the college, whether it's your student council AS or college councils, and the members of different cultural and international student orgs. Anyone can join, and you also are eligible for different benefits by being a part of ISAC. So I'd highly encourage you to check it out. Next, we have the GET CCR. So the GET CCR stands for Globally Engaged Tritons Co-Curricular Record. So when you graduate from the university, you'll receive an academic transcript, right? And your academic transcript will say, Here were all the courses the student took during their time here, and it's validated by the university. The complement to your academic transcript is your co-curricular record, your CCR, because UC San Diego acknowledges that learning takes place both inside and outside the classroom. So for learning that takes place inside the classroom, that's your academic transcript listing your courses. For learning that takes place outside the classroom, that's your co-curricular record, your CCR. And just like your transcript will list multiple courses, your CCR can list multiple activities or opportunities. One of them can be the GET CCR. So by being involved in different global engagement events or events and opportunities that help internationalize our campus, you can earn hours towards your GET CCR. Any CCR opportunity will require 30 hours over the course of an academic year. But fun fact, almost all international orientation workshops and events are eligible for GET CCR credit. So you, by being here today, can already earn an hour towards your GET CCR. So I would highly encourage you to check it out at getccr.ucsd.edu. So orientation is about learning important things, but it's also about meeting people and building your new community here at UC San Diego with other Tritons. So we have two different types of meetups. One are regional based. So if you want to meet students from maybe your same home region, maybe you want to meet students from a different region, we'd highly encourage you to check out our regional meetups. We also have interest meetups. So we have a variety of interest meetups. I think there's like hiking and photography and food and all sorts of stuff. So if you would like to meet students who have similar interests to you, please go ahead and check out our interest groups meetups. And you can find all of that at iorientationucsd.com/meetup, also on our iEvents calendar. Speaking of our iEvents calendar, this is a one-stop shop where you can just see so many events that are going on here at UC San Diego that have a global focus. Right now, it's obviously orientation season, so you're going to see a lot of orientation events. However, this is a live calendar throughout the academic year. So a lot of students I know will bookmark this page, and just whenever they're curious about what's going on, they'll check out iEvents. Right now, it's hosted by, a lot of the events are hosted by different offices. However, in the academic year, as our student orgs get more active, you'll see a lot of events hosted by our students and our student orgs. So again, ievents.ucsd.edu. And events are continually being added at all times. All right, and now we will move to questions. So again, if you have any questions, I really encourage you to submit that via the Q&A feature on your Zoom menu bar. This is a great way. You have a lot of folks here to support you during your academic journey here at UC San Diego, and we really encourage you to ask those questions. If we can go to the next slide, while folks are asking questions, I also want to allow folks to fill out the survey. So we'll pause here to both give you the opportunity to type in your question to the Q&A feature, as well as fill out the survey that will confirm your attendance at this workshop.
And Grace, I'll just jump in here while we're pausing and they're working on their questions and their survey. And I just want to thank all of our presenters today and apologize to Grace for not introducing you at the beginning. So yeah, thank you to our colleagues from the Academic Achievement Hub, Writing Hub, and Academic Integrity Office. Just so much useful information passing along to the students here today. So you'll have this recording to refer back to later if you want to review any of the awesome information and resources that we went over with you today. All right, so do we have any questions? We've got a couple minutes here.
I'll go ahead and verbally highlight a question that came in earlier in today's workshop. It was a very relevant question. The student asked, how do I meet with all these different advisors I'm supposed to check in with when making an academic change? That is a great question. Again, I just want to encourage you that hopefully you can start with one of us and we will connect you as needed. But here are some ways that are tried and true to connect with different advisors. So when you want to connect with your college academic advisor, the most common way you can do so, a great place to start, is through the Virtual Advising Center, the VAC. vac.ucsd.edu is a great way to get in touch with your college academic advisor, and they're a great starting point for any of those academic decisions. Additionally, if you would like to meet with an international advisor, the best way to probably do so is through our ISPO Zoom advising hours. And all of the ways that you can contact the International Students and Programs Office are found at icontact.ucsd.edu. So we wanted to put all of our helpful information in one place. So at iContact, you can see when is our front desk open. So you can come to front desk hours. You can also see when our ISPO Zoom advising hours are. You can also have like emergency contact information. So iContact.ucsd.edu lists all the different contact ways you can get in contact with our office ISPO. And then for your department or major advisor, that's typically listed on your department website. As a first-year undergraduate student, you may not be meeting with your department or major advisor yet. That might come a little bit later in your academic journey here. However, you might definitely know, hey, I'm this major, I want to meet with my department advisor, and I want to talk about my goals here at UC San Diego. And so that can also be found. And if you have questions about that, you can also ask your college academic advisor, and they can also help typically connect you with who your department or major advisor may be. And I'll definitely open it up to my colleagues as well if they have any additional advice for navigating the academic environment and advisors here at UC San Diego. But that was a great question. Please continue to, put any additional questions in the chat. Okay, we have another great question that I'll go ahead and answer live. So the question reads, I was unable to attend previous mandatory webinars as I was traveling from my hometown to the US. What should I do in that case? That's a great question. We know that many of our students are traveling during this time. And so for that reason, we made all mandatory webinars virtual, and those recordings are already up at iwebinars.ucsd.edu, and you click on webinars for newly admitted students. So in order to confirm your attendance and participation for those mandatory webinars, what you're going to do is you're going to watch the webinar recording. Again, those are already available. And then you're going to fill out the survey at the end of that recording. And that survey is going to confirm your attendance. If you are an undergraduate student, you are going to watch these 3 webinars. 1, meet ISPO and understand your immigration documents. 2, know the rules. If you're an F1 student, just watch Know the Rules for F1 students. If you're a J1 student, Know the Rules for J1. You don't have to complete both, just complete the one that's relevant to your student visa. And then 3, working in the US for undergraduate students. So working in, as an international student for undergraduate. So those are the 3 mandatory workshops for you. Watch those recordings, fill out that survey, and you'll be good to go. Okay, I think we can transition and close out.
All right, and just a huge thank you for attending today's session. Again, whether you're joining us from inside or outside the US, from the other side of the world, on behalf of the International Students and Programs Office here at UC San Diego, enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, or morning, and have a great fall quarter. Have a great fall quarter, and we'll see you at our next session. Thank you.